All right. Hey, welcome back, guys. All right, so before we jump into this singles storyline, just know this is a really big test run to see if the internet has been officially fixed after a year and a half of valiant attempts and many different awesome technicians who've come out. I think I just got the dream team that came out and tried valiantly to fix it one more time. No one had really, they all thought they'd fix it and then the problem would come back. And now we're hoping this was it. So, all right, so here we go. The other thing I want to mention, you guys, is on Monday, I will be going live and doing some free card pulls for my subscribers on both channels. Here, just to say thank you guys for bearing with me during this very difficult week that I've been away a ton. So thank you for your patience with me. But then also on Tarot Dog, thank you guys. I know many of you are subscribers on both channels, and Tarot Dog just hit 10,000 subscribers over there. So thank you. I'm going to be going live more hours on Monday on Tarot Dog because I wanted to especially thank them for hitting that milestone, helping that channel to grow. If you didn't already know, I do have another channel called Tarot Dog. It's pretty much just a channel that I have a little bit of overflow on. Sometimes I like to do highly specific messages over there. And Cancer is actually the only zodiac that I do over there. All the other zodiacs are done here. But anyway, if you didn't know about that, now you do. If you want to subscribe over there, awesome. Don't forget to tune in, especially on Monday, as I will be going live several times. I'll probably do several different 1-hour blocks on between both channels. I'll probably do at least an hour over here, plus like another half hour or so in just Members Corner. Then over on Tarot Dog, I'll go live for 2 to 3 different hour blocks, plus another half hour-ish on members. So just so you guys know, Monday's going to be a really busy day for members, but for everybody. I just want to say thank you guys for making my community and my channel what it is, channels, what they are, I should say. And thank you guys for all your kindness. And happy, it'll be belated Easter. I was going to do it this week, and I thought, no, let's let everybody get through Easter first. So, singles storyline, here we go. Hi, everyone. We have got the 6 of Pentacles. This is beautiful. We have possibly like really straightforward communication. We got the tea being spilled, right? And we've got the like little Libra scales on this teapot. We do have 2 feminines. This is a card that I look at not as gossip, but as advice. And obviously we do have 2 feminines possibly talking openly and truthfully about possibly a divine masculine. Now it could be that somebody is wanting to spill the tea about like, hey, you know, my colleague likes you, you know, my cousin likes you, you know, my brother likes you, you know, because this is making somebody feel like $1,000,000. This is making a divine feminine feel really empowered, really special. It just feels like somebody is, I'm hearing that song by the Jets, I Got a Crush on You. But in this case, it's more like a feminine is telling another feminine about a masculine's crush on them. Now, it could also just be that somebody's saying, hey, you know, that new guy, that new person, you know, I think that you'd be a great match for them. It just feels like there is some kind of supportive, wonderful, uplifting advice or consultation going on, and it is making somebody feel good. And you know what? I think that this feminine could use a little pickup. I think this feminine could use a little bit of support, a little bit of like, you know, you're gorgeous, right? You do know that that person was looking your way. Like, I totally feel like this is something I would say to my best friend. Like, you realize that he was staring at you, right? You realize he, she, whatever. You do know that they weren't just bringing you your food to the table. They were flirting with you. You do realize that. Like, I could totally see me being that friend who's like giving it to him straight. Like, yeah, they like you. They couldn't take their eyes off you. No, you know, my best friend would be, no, I don't think so. Sometimes people stare at me because I'm funny looking. No. They stare at you because you're gorgeous. Have you looked in a mirror lately? Like, I feel like this is a friend who really wants to like dismiss their beauty, their attractiveness. And I feel like, thank goodness they got a bossy friend looking out for them. Sunflowers, you sweetheart. Thank you so much, babe. Thank you so much. You are so generous. I'll see you on Monday. Now this really looks like we've got her feeling good that that somebody is like telling her, you do know that you're great. You know, you're a catch, right? And you know that this dude might be interested in you. And even though it feels great, we still see her kind of overthinking it, dismissing it, thinking back to past relationships that were crummy, people that played mind games with her. Okay, so hang on. This storyline just got a little bit deeper. Jeannie Vale, thank you, Angel. You're so kind. Thank you. Ken Ramey, awesome to see you. Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. This Page of Swords says we got this little dude. Sorry, I keep saying little. It's just that he's not like in the same room as them. So when somebody is like diminutive, I'm not saying that they're small in mind or personality or physical attributes, but rather they're probably, removed from the location, like perspective. If you're looking at a distance, a skyscraper can look only this big, right? So I'm going to say that this denotes he's at a distance, and now we see him spying. So it could be that two friends are talking, and she could be conveying like, I don't know, somebody made an anonymous comment or liked a picture or something like that on social media, because this is spying and it's often done at a distance or online. And it could be that a friend is like, you do know that that's your ex, right? You do know the only reason they're still eyeballing you is because they're not over you. Maybe they've grown up. Maybe they realize what they lost. Maybe there's a few reasons why they would be missing you. Of course they're going to miss you. You're amazing. Of course he's not ever going to forget you. That's just the straight up truth. That would explain why a friend is like laying it out, blunt and simple, but why she would both feel maybe good and then also like, I don't know if I'd even want to deal with this again. I don't need game players in my life. I don't want chess playing in relationships. And I don't really know, why is somebody spying on me instead of coming straight forward? Look, I would agree. I would be that friend who'd be like, yeah, they're spying on you because they still want you. But if they don't have what it takes to approach you directly, to make things right with you, then I would say they still don't have access to you. We got the Sun in the reverse. It does leave things. I'm going to say it this way. If when he's spying, he's possibly realizing this is his wish come true, and he's also not too happy, because it's hard to be on the outside of something that you want. It's hard to be on the outside looking in. So let's see if we can switch over to his side. Now, I don't know if this is an X. It's just a scenario that comes up into my mind. Decoded. Thank you, honey. Hi, Travis. We got the Two of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles upright is like, I don't know, this storyline really does feel like it could be a couple different energies, and we follow through with that. We can see the bridge building. We can see thoughts connecting. We can see the delicate balance of why is this all happening? Because we do have the cosmos flowers here. And just because of the word cosmos, I think of it as like the universe is trying to present information so that, I'm going to say, our divine feminine can consider without being, let's put it this way. If you know that you're going to bump into, let's say, an ex because somebody has warned you, they're going to be somewhere and they specifically asked if you were going to be there. So I'm assuming they want to talk to you. Now, forewarned is forearmed, as they say. She can decide before she has to see them face to face. Do I want to go? Do I want to deal with them? It's almost like, I'm not saying that's what the scenario is. I'm saying as an example, if she needs to figure out what she'll want to do, it's nice that she's getting some like pre-warning of, hey, I think your ex is spying on you, or a friend who's giving her some straightforward counsel, like, if you find out that they're still looking your way, it's because you're going to hear from them pretty soon. It's like she needed to hear somebody's outside dialogue give her some kind of straightforward advice, like, that they're not happy about what happened, that they've been spying, and it's only a matter of time before you hear from this person. Now, again, this could be a new love interest. This doesn't have to be somebody from the past. But she just might be saying, I'm not ready for relationships and all the good ones are taken and I'm not interested. But it does feel kind of good to know that some hottie was looking my way, if my friend's even right. It just kind of keeps feeling like she needs to settle in herself. What would she want to do in any given circumstance? And this is the universe. Like, maybe the voice of the universe is that friend who's giving that counsel of, you do know somebody's interested in you. That's the crux of the story. You do know somebody's interested in you, right? And armed with that knowledge, she has to first like admit it, and then she has to ask herself, what do I want to do with that information? Can we see who he is? Is he an ex? Is he a new person? It looks like he's somebody she stopped thinking about. It doesn't have to mean that it was an ex. Let's say it was someone who never got around to asking her out, and she's going to put that whole, yeah, maybe she had a crush on him and he never had a crush on her that she knew about. So she let go of it and moved on. You know, it doesn't have to mean that she ever dated this person, but it is somebody that she's kind of put in her rearview mirror. We got the 7 of Cups in the reverse in no uncertain terms. Like she, at least as far as he goes, she thought she knew what the score was. She thought it was very clear. There's no reason for me to wonder. I'm going to say, because the 7 of Cups is here at all, I'm going to say that he was someone who things never got off the ground with. This is not someone that she's unaware of. It is likely somebody that she might have had a crush on at one point in time. She didn't know if he was interested in her. And please remember, this could be same-sex couple, reverse gender roles. This feels like the unrequited crush. That's what I would say this storyline is. And because nothing ever happened, she let him go. She let the thought of him go. She let go of all of that. Now, bizarrely, it turns out something has done a 180 in his world. What has happened in his world? Can we take a look at this? I mean, we see that he's grown in some respects, right? We have Liberation in the reverse, which is actually the Judgment card in any other deck. I'm going to say this may have been a complicated situation for him in his own life. Maybe there was you know how sometimes you meet somebody and you go, wow, that person's great. They're single, but man, they've got some weird entanglement with their own karmic or their own ex, and they never know if they're done with their past partner or if they're maybe still going to reconcile or whatever their weirdness is. They got a situationship. And even though I think they're great, I think they're attractive, man, I don't know what's going on with them. So I'm going to go ahead and say, even if I noticed they flirted with me or I thought they were interested in me, I'm done wondering and waiting and, confused about whatever their confusion is. So I definitely feel like that's more, he either had unfinished business still, maybe he was single, but it was like still talking to an ex. There can be even like non-existent relationships can still have a hold on somebody. There can still be dialogue. There can still be, the energetic cord hasn't been cut. That's what this looks like. And so this feminine thought, oh, you know what? The one thing I know about him is that he's got a weird situationship. Even if I thought he was interested in me and we didn't date, so it was the unrequited crush, I just kind of let go of it because I don't think he's ready for any relationship. And indeed, in the past, or whatever his situation was, is he needed to close a door completely. He needed to know he's not reconciling. He needed to be done, that there wasn't going to be any revival of a relationship, and he probably needed some time to like cleanse his aura of somebody else's energy. We have the moon. I really think in this storyline, they encountered each other at some point in time where it was like, maybe not just he was on the cusp of like, releasing a relationship and really becoming totally single in body, mind, and soul. But it says she may have been going through transformation also, right? We have these two wolves. These two could be right for each other, but when they first met, they each had complications. Even if it was just complications because of old memories, I don't think that this is one of those stories where it's like, oh, this is somebody who tried to date her, but he was still hung up on his ex and heartbroken. I don't think that these two have ever dated. It just comes across like, the guy in the office that's really nice. He's not exactly single, but then you find out that, sometimes he's like emotionally upset still. And it's like, oh, his text sent him a message, or he saw his, an ex on social media and it, kind of like put a dagger in his heart again. That's somebody who's probably not over a relationship yet. So I think it's more along those lines. And so she just kind of let him go, let the whole thing go. Something has changed because he's graduated. And it could even be that this storyline is that she's going to be finding out from someone like, hey, so-and-so, he's done with that ex. Like, he's really done with that ex. I always thought you two were going to go out. You know, it could be something where we have this benevolent friend who is kind of trying to speak some truth into the situation. And I really think it's because what we're dealing with is two great people who I think maybe they're a really good match. You know, wolves, the alpha pair mates for life, and wolves howl when they want to echolocate each other. It almost seems like this friend says, I always thought you two would be so good together. But, you know, obviously that crush that you two clearly had on each other, it wasn't time to be acted upon. But you do know some things might have changed at this point. I don't know, why is a friend coming in to kind of like, why is a third party, we'll say, giving this piece of data? We have got the Knight of Wands in the reverse. Honestly, this could be in passing. Maybe this isn't intentional that this friend does this. The friend has no skin in this game. They're not like, hey, if you don't want him, I'm going to go for him. It's not something like that. There's no like attempt to push things at a faster rate. There's no attempt to create drama. Might just be a very innocent, truthful conversation, though. Like, hey, have you ever thought about that one person? Because they seem really great. I could see the two of you being really good together. It could just be that an outsider is making that observation. Like, you know, there's this really great guy, and I could see you two together. I think he's single. You know, this could just be a very innocent comment, but it's also very true. 7 of Pentacles and the 2 of Wands. Yeah. The only reason this third party is laying it out is I do think they're the voice of the universe right now. Sometimes I feel like the universe has a way to convey messages through, you know, different sources. Innocent, offhanded remarks, serendipitous, you know, weird little messengers from the ancestors, you know, finding a sign. I mean, there have been so many things, even like addresses that I've lived at. It's been like, oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. I literally one time moved to a place, and my address there, when I moved 3 years later, and I was kind of like, is this a good move? Should I do this? Because it was a really big move. It turned out that the new landlords, their address was literally my old address from several states away. So where I was leaving, although my new address was different, my new landlord's address was the same as the location I had lived at in a different state. I was like, if there were a sign, oh my God, you know? And granted, it's just weird coincidence, but you know, sometimes those things we go like, wow, this must be meant to be. And indeed, it was a really great choice for me. I got lucky, but it just seems like this all feels like it was supposed to open back up the question mark of, should I consider him again? Is there a reason for me to think about him again? It's almost like she was done. She put this in her rear view and kind of like scratched his name off the list of anybody potential. And the universe is like, hey, you might want to reconsider that a little bit. Let's let this friend mention something. Let's let his name pop up in conversation. Let's have her innocently say something, you know, so-and-so is single, blah, blah, blah. I don't think it's gossipy. There's nothing mean-spirited here, but it certainly turns that 7 of Cups upright again and says, have you thought about him? Do you remember him? So it's a kind of a sneaky way that the universe is like using the mouthpiece of another person to maybe just bring up the question mark of, if you were interested, that might not be a closed chapter. Maybe know that there's more options. Now, here's the big thing, though. It really puts the ball more in his court, and we move on to him. And what we see is there's, you know, the option. The 2 of Wands is, what action will he take? But it is nice to like open up energy a little bit. Oh my God, Signs and Sinks, you angel. Thank you. Signs and Sinks just gifted 5 more memberships here. Jeannie Vale, Lois 5107, Mrs. Boogeyman, Brittany, Stacy Murphy. Welcome. You guys are all members courtesy of Signs and Sinks. By the way, I believe this is 20 at least memberships that Signs and Sinks has gifted between the 2 channels today. Oh my God, thank you, Angel. You are so kind. Beyond kind. We have got a 10 of Swords upright. It definitely feels like this is the way this third party friend, and when I say third party, again, we're not talking romantic, we're talking about an outside influence that is the universe is using them as the mouthpiece to stir up a little bit of, hey, there might still be some options and some opportunity here. And it is to bring up the conversation of, now that you're free, this is the message for the divine masculine, now that he's totally free and done and clear with a situation, he's free to make new choices. And maybe she needs to realize that also, even though she put him in her rearview mirror, maybe he is free to make new choices. Well, if he comes my way, maybe I would reconsider the fact that I stopped thinking about him as ever being a possibility, because I thought he was still tangled up in someone else's web, or I didn't know what his situation was. To hear that he's free, clear, and single, if he approaches me, I just might be maybe a little bit more warm, because I would know I've got some insider information that he's actually truly single. That is what I think the whole message of this storyline is. By the way, we do have Scorpio, we do have Leo, and we do have Pisces. As far as like her energy, she could be a fire sign, though. We did see her more heavily associated with a Leo, Sag, or Aries. As far as he goes, he could also be a Leo, Sag, or Aries, just because we are bringing up the him having the choices here in what to do. But we also saw him as like the little dude who was talked about. But this is the one time that we saw him like a little bit more directly. So we could also say he could be a Libra, Gemini, or Aquarius. We don't really have a lot of court cards in this, so I don't really have a direct name for him. And the major arcana are more talking about momentous actions, not necessarily the, like a title for them. This just feels like it's time to like open horizons, open up. If somebody comes forward, don't be cold, don't ignore them, because hey, their circumstances may have changed, and maybe it's a good time to, ease into the idea of, you never know how things might go. Why? Let me ask this. Let's be a little bit more direct. Ultimately, all said and done, universe, it seems like we're kind of nudging our feminine here to just be open to the fact that somebody's circumstances may have changed, and perhaps there's going to be some kind of, energy coming around. Am I interpreting that right? Prince of Pentacles, or Knight of Pentacles. It says, yeah, but don't get stuck on a timeline. It just says the wheel of fortune turns all the time. And the way life flows, opening up energy flow is always a good thing. I'm literally picturing like, okay, so I'm a farm kid, so irrigation and unplugging the irrigation is like something I still do to this day, but I'm very accustomed to that. So when you've got like a gravity fed irrigation ditch, you know that it's going to come on down the pipes, and from there you'll have your different outlets and such. And if you have different joints and different pieces of property that you sometimes irrigate, the upper half or the lower 40, that you're going to divert water here and there. So you're going to turn valves, right? And this just says open up valves. I mean, obviously don't flood your property, but we're talking metaphorically speaking, energy flow. Even let's go back to the idea of like a gravity fed irrigation flow. Let gravity work in our favor in life. Let ourselves open up valves and allow whatever the universe is going to perhaps push into our lives. Why would we stop the flow of abundance? And this just says open the valve. This literally looks like an irrigation valve, right there at the canal. But open it up and let the water flow through. Why block it? Who knows? There's no guarantees that he's going to be coming in. There's no guarantees that this is happening anytime soon. But if energetically she opens up and unblocks something, instead of saying, oh, that I never will think of that person again, it was an unrequited crush, says, we don't have to be so determined to shut off all thoughts of somebody. Who knows what's still possible? If we thought they were a nice person, but nothing happened with them, that still doesn't mean we have to ignore the thought of them. And if they come into our head, I'd never even think of them with a fond memory. This just says things change, energy changes, open up energy flow, and see what what gravity is bringing in, because we have the Judgment card up, right? I do think that these two are going to meet again. And I'm so sorry, but this, I can never not see it. Okay. And I am not one of those people who sees other things in pictures. You know, some people are great at that. You know, the people who like, oh, and every time I take a shower, the marble of the bathroom tile or something reminds me of this or that shape. I'm not that person. I never see shapes and stuff. But this is straight up boobies. I'm sorry. It just is. And that makes me think of some of the paintings. I think Monet and Renoir both played around with like, you know, painting landscapes that if you look a little closer, they're like female forms. That's the, you know, the shape of the like voluptuous women laying there, only they're made out of, you know, the grass and the mountains. And this is kind of a tip of the hat to that. And I can never, I'm sorry, I can't unsee that. I don't know what that has to do with anything, if somebody likes art, or if this is like, you know, come rest your head upon my bosoms. I don't know what to say about this. I'm really sorry to bring that up, but I do try to tell the stories I see authentically. And so with that in mind, I don't know if there's some kind of an element where maybe somebody's, you know, anytime I see a chest, I always think of like one's heart that is like really visible to somebody. So like being open-hearted, showing, you know, what our heart really feels or what the chest really feels. That is the more delicate way I might interpret this, but there's something there about cleavage. Okay, there, I said it. I'm sorry, everyone. Maybe we need to laugh on a Friday, but Queen of Cups. This ends with, if she just stays really warm and open and allows for whatever is going to happen in life, she is in the most beautiful energy to welcome. You know, the queens, the feminine energy is always going to be the gravitational pull of the moon. So she is attracting right now. Whether she wants to or not, doesn't matter. That just happens to be the flow that she's in. If she opens up the valve of energy and says, universe, I receive what is in my greatest and highest good. If it happens to be this person that was like an unrequited, you know, kind of crush at one point in time, if they're about to sashay their way back into my life, you know what, that sounds kind of nice. You know, as long as they're not bringing drama, sure. I mean, that would be cool. But if it's somebody else, that's okay too. I am love. I have a lot to offer, and I am welcoming and warm for friendship, kindness, human connection. And if it turns into something more than that, amazing. But I'm not going to block anything. This, I will say, this is a very biased message for the divine feminine to not insist that I'm never going to think of somebody again, because this says, at least in this circumstance, right? If they had been somebody who she dated, they cheated on her, they lied to her, of course, end it and move on. But this storyline is just encouraging this particular feminine, don't get so focused on absolutely no, this isn't going to happen, because in truth, sometimes in life, there's a lot of other things that pop up at the right time, at the right place. She doesn't need to shove something out of her mind so much, especially something where they had no bad history together. They just never got a chance to even build history together. But this moon card says, I think that these two had an attraction for each other that was unspoken quite some time ago. And while it's great not to hang our hopes on someone who hasn't made a move on us, we, you know, that's one extreme where it's like, okay, I'm going to sit here and wait till I hear from them. The other end of that extreme is like, never, I would never think of them at all because, you know, they haven't done anything, time's up, forget you. It's more like this just asks her to be open to the flow. Whomever is in her greatest and highest good, whatever is in her greatest and highest good, don't block anything. Don't block any presents. Don't block any gifts. Don't block anything wonderful that somebody might want to bring to you. Why stop any of that? Open up the valves. So that's the way I would say this one. It does look like this is coming in for her at some point in time, but no matter what, right now, if she's just operating from this place of love, her whole life is going to be more comfortable. Her stress is going to be lower. She's going to find all kinds of glorious little gifts that pop into her life because of her mindset. You know, anytime any little thing goes right, it's going to be like, oh my God, that's so nice. You know, when we're in a place of receiving, all of a sudden we see everything as like a delightful little gift. You know, every little tiny thing that mildly goes right, we pay attention to. And it's like, oh, that was so nice. Somebody lets us in, so we can make that left turn, even though we didn't, get ourselves moved into the right lane properly at the right time. But somebody is a courteous driver. That is like, oh my God, what a sweetheart. How nice. And then one time I had to let somebody in who had done that, and I let them go, and the passenger blew me a kiss, and it was these couple dudes riding together, and they blew me a kiss, and I thought it was the sweetest thing. And I've always done that in response now when people let me in, because it was kind of unexpected, and I thought it was so such a lovely, courteous thing to do. So anyway, I blow kisses to strangers in cars now, but I've always thought it tickled me so much that somebody did that. I'm like, I'm going to totally take a page out of their playbook. But those little tiny things, sometimes it makes people's day. I mean, that was like 10 years ago that happened. And I still regurgitate that story because I think it was funny and cute. And you know what? Imagine if everybody behind a wheel blew each other kisses instead of flipping each other off. It'd be a lot better out there on the roads. All right, you guys, so good to see you. You guys are wonderful. I will be back later on. I'm going to be gone for a couple hours now, and then I will be back later on. And I'm so excited because we just had steady internet for 31 minutes. This is amazing. And I will tell you guys, I can't believe this, but after a year and a half, and things have gotten progressively worse. I know you guys have seen it where I'm live and then it drops and I disappear. And you guys probably noticed that was happening more and more. And I have had, I think it's 7 different technicians come out, and they would all say that they couldn't find anything. It wasn't consistently a problem, but they were trying everything. I mean, they have replaced wires, they've replaced plates, they have done everything that they could on their end. They have checked the nodes, and they found many different little problems along the way. But today, they actually sent out like the king, the person who is like the regional manager, who came out specifically and said, I have to help you at this point because we can see it was trying to connect 63 times in 22 minutes, a day and a half ago. And he's like, okay, you are not crazy. We can tell you that for sure. There is a legit problem. And he at first was finding nothing. And then he calls out to me, which Aries was already in the room with him. So I figured he probably needed me to come retrieve Aries. But he said, you're not going to believe this. The cord that connected my router, that was intermittent. And he said, I hesitate to say that this is it, but I could actually see exactly what you've been talking about. And I was like, I wanted to fall over. I just couldn't believe that, all this time, all these wonderful, smart people. And then the simplest, most elegant solution is one teeny tiny yellow cord. And it was like, could this really be it? So I have to say, this is the smoothest connection I've had in a long time. I don't know, but there you have it. I just have to sing their praises because they have worked so hard and they have been they've poured their energy into trying to solve this, but it's going to be pretty hilarious, I think, for everyone if it turns out it was a cord, and the closest cord, the easiest to access. That's been the problem all this time. So anyway, you guys, I don't know if that helps anybody else. If they're experiencing problems, remember to look at the simplest stuff first. But there we have it. You guys, thank you, everyone. Oh my God, Small TV, thank you so much, Angel. You are so kind, so generous. Thank you for that. All right, you guys, I will see you again later on. And like I said, I will give you guys a posting for Monday. So I'll probably post it on Sunday and give you guys a reminder in videos on Sunday as well, that we'll be going live on Monday and doing some card pulls for subscribers on both channels and also in both members' corners on Monday. So I just really want to celebrate the fact that it has been one heck of a week. My Aries had to go to ER. My Aries is okay. If we had an ER visit, and he had a great time because he loves the vets, and then he had a follow-up the next morning and he had a tummy blockage is what had happened, and he's good. And oh my God, you guys, you have no idea. I feel so grateful, and I just want to express my gratitude not only to the vets, not only to the people working on the internet, but also to you guys. So that's why we're going live to celebrate, in addition to celebrating the other channel and hitting 10,000 subscribers on Tarot Dog. So feel free, if you guys are not already subscribed to both channels, feel free to subscribe to both so you can participate in those sessions on Monday on both channels. You don't have to subscribe, of course, if you don't like my channels, of course. Don't. I'm not trying to tell you what you must do, but if you like the channels, if you have fun, feel free, and you are most welcome to hang out with me on Monday on both lives. I don't care if you guys end up getting, storytelling on both channels. It may happen. I go at random. Just so you know, on Monday when I go live, I don't go in order when I'm live. I just go at random because the chat moves really fast. So you guys will have probably a multitude of options. And I will try to get to as many people as I can in the hours that I'll be live on Monday. Aside from that, I will be doing zodiacs and everything and trying to get us caught up throughout tonight and all weekend long. So I will hang out with you guys a lot, even though it is Easter Sunday. I'm looking forward to seeing a bunch of you. And then Monday we'll party together. All right, you guys, lots of love. I must disappear. Thank you for right now, guys. Take care. I'll see you again soon. Marie, thank you, Angel. You are so generous. Thank you, love. I'm sure oh my God, 11:08. My small little problems are tiny by comparison to what I know other people have been going through. I'm sorry. I don't mean to sound like this and this and this happened to me. I know that there's far, far more like complex and difficult things that people go through. I just wanted to let you guys know kind of where I've been, so you know I wasn't just ignoring. But thank you guys for being so patient with me, and to anybody out there that's been having a rough week or whatever you might be going through, I hope you had tons of support. I hope I send you love and protection, and I hope that everybody is having a better end of their week at least. But anyway, you guys, thank you again. I'll see you guys later. Bye.